Right now it's late August and you might have noticed more of those buzzing black and yellow little skinny creatures flying around, being aggressive, coming to your picnic, to your garden, to your home and infiltrating your entire space. There is actually a very specific reason as to why that is. You might have noticed that this time last month they were nowhere to be seen. This is a tale of abandonment, betrayal and matriarchal severing. Around March, April, the queen wasp wakes up, she looks around and she's like, shit, it's time to rebuild this colony again. So she gets up, she starts giving birth and she basically rebuilds the nest and does everything by herself. So she's essentially a single mom at this point. She does everything by herself independently. But those daughters that she ends up giving birth to, and yes, it's specifically daughters at this point, she feeds them, she raises them. They don't get to have a childhood though. She sends those daughters straight off to work. And if you're wondering what is it that they're actually doing in terms of work, so the different types of jobs that they have is babysitting. The entire place is a friggin' daycare center. So these daughters get to work, they raise those kids that, you know, she keeps giving birth to. Some of them are security guards and some of them are construction workers. Basically, blue collar jobs. They're essentially interns that do not get paid. No benefits, no pensions. What they do get paid in though is food. So they receive sugar, nectar from their mother and she feeds them at this point. So between spring and early summer, and they're healthy, they're fed, they're happy. That's why you don't see them around at this point. These daughters are looking healthy, they're glowing, you know, they're getting their calories in, they're taking gym selfies. They're in a good place at that point. So the queen gives them this food, this sugar and nectar to keep them motivated. Then comes around late summer and the queen decides, okay, you know what? I'm ready to have my sons and I'm ready to have my future queens now. And guess who raises them? It's still those daughters. Yep, the loyal daughters are raising those little babies. They go out, grab food, give the babies backwash, clean the babies. They're doing most of the work basically. And once those little babies are grown up, the queen turns around and she tells them, I can't keep feeding you guys anymore. These guys are my priority. You guys need to figure something out. Go bother some humans. Shoot, go away. She essentially ghosts them and like blocks their number and tells them to simply F off. No warning, no, like literally nothing. It's like, thank you for your services. So these daughters are now trying to figure out where we're going to get food from. And that is when they come to your house. That's when they come to your picnic. That is when they start bothering and harassing you. By the time they reach you, they're already really aggravated and they're extremely hungry and desperate. So around August, you might see them floating around, you know, doing risky things. And it gets even worse around September. That's when they start taking it up a notch because at that point they are so desperate. And so if you find one floating around sort of like your jacket and stuff, they're freeloaders, they don't care. If there's a piece of sugar, you know, a little drip of sugar on your jacket, they will take that. That is how desperate they are. They've been abandoned by their mom. They're trying to figure out how to survive. And you might be wondering, what are the sons doing? They're literally hanging around like some desperate club promoters, trying to figure out who they can get so that they can get a couple of women pregnant before they die, because that's literally all they do. No thank you to their daughters, none of that. And what the queens do is they get pregnant, then they go into hiding. Once she's fed and happy, she hides into a little crack, sleeps until March again, and does the same thing.